The meeting will come to order. The purpose of the meeting, the committee will discuss the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget and general operations activities of the following department, which is judicial administration. The committee takes official notice and admits into evidence all St. Louis County ordinances and resolutions. Please have roll call.
Councilmember Gray,
Present.
Councilmember Clancy,
Present.
Councilmember Days,
Here.
Councilmember Fitch.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. This is really going to be difficult. Is Judge, let me see.
Right now, Madam
Chair, or
She's got it on speaker with the meeting.
Good afternoon. This is Judge Hemphill from the court. Our presiding judge and our judicial administrator are having technical difficulties. They're attempting to sign in. So they wanted me to advise you all of that.
Okay, I didn't think I saw them. That I was wondering.
Yeah, they're trying desperately to address the technical issue that they're having.
Okay, are they being helped by
Our IT department is there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, Judge Donnelly, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Chairman Gray.
Good. Did you have anything you wanted to say since we're waiting?
No, I'm the co-chair of the budget.
Okay.
Co-chair of the budget committee, and that's why I'm here observing. So thank you.
Great. Judge Hemphill, did you have anything that you needed to say?
Not at this time. I will wait for the presiding judge. I'm here as the administrative judge of the family court.
Okay. Well, thank you. I guess we'll just have to wait.
We're waiting on Judge Burton.
Yes, and Hope Whitehead. I don't know which one of them is going to present. And I guess this is a
Were
good
they
indication.
informed that this meeting was, was this not changed?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't? Okay.
It's always been-
I thought it was later on and it changed. Maybe that was elections. I don't know. You know.
That was it. That was.
Okay, we just need to be meeting, but anyway, thank you.
I think we need to inform Chris Howard, our panelists, that they can get in 15 minutes early so they can start trying to get in early. I don't see Chris. Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We knew that they were having some issues, so we sent them some. They have a different system than what we use, and so they're trying to do it to get in. So we've been, I've been back and forth with a couple of people from there since about noon today. But yeah, I put in the calendar invite that it opens 15 minutes early.
Okay. Well, I also suggested that they come to our office and sit in our conference room and have their budget hearings. I thought that would work better as well, because now we see people don't have the same system. So that was another suggestion that I made, is to have anyone who's going to do a budget presentation, they can sit in our conference room and be socially distanced. It's usually only 2 or 3 people, and they can use their video conferencing. Because this is going, and I'm not faulting anyone, but it is going to put us behind. And again, I don't fault anyone. I'm just making suggestions that we could force the process to be better in the future. Luckily, it'll be this should be short though. I do want to mention, I think Kyle's on the call. Something that we talked about last year that had been done in the past is that we try to focus our questions on the budget only and not questions that are outside of the budget. We used to do that the prior years, and that was for a good reason, but it's not necessary that we do that this year, and we didn't do it last year. We tried not to, so I I do want to mention that to our committee members as well, or council members, should I say. Is that true, Kyle? Just
Madam Chair, I think that is true as long as the discussion is kept generally to the budget and the general operations and the activities of the Department of Judicial Administration. I think that would all be appropriate conversation for this hearing, to not to include personnel matters, of course.
of course. I just don't want us to get too in depth in the weeds of things, which we can.
Madam Chair, I think they're trying to connect now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Hope Whitehead and Judge Burton. Are you there? You're kind of far away, but I'm assuming you're both there.
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Hello.
Okay, great.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. I first wanted to talk about the value of Zoom versus WebEx, but I figure we will go into that at another time. And I do apologize. My name is Mike Burton, and I have the privilege of being the presiding judge of this wonderful court. I'd like to make a few very quick introductions to the folks that have joined us today. That includes, first of all, Ben Verkemper, who is here as our family court administrator. Marshall Day is our operations director. Hope Whitehead is our judicial administrator. Sandra Hemphill is our family court administrative judge. I believe that Margaret Donnelly and Robert Heggie are here as our chairs of our budget committee. I can't see them, but I'm assuming they are present as well.
I'm here, but Judge Hagee has a docket, so.
All right, thank you very much. I've had the privilege of being the presiding judge of this court at a time where I started in late February when the word COVID was not a regular part of our vocabulary. Unfortunately, that changed about 2 weeks later, and I feel that the only thing I know right now is COVID. That's been my experience as our presiding judge. And tomorrow I have the opportunity to run for my own term as presiding judge. And I'm still trying to figure out whether or not there's any wisdom to doing that. But I do want to talk about the silver linings that come with the pandemic. Of course, we can gripe all we want. Everyone's in the same boat. But I want to talk about the silver linings, and they'll start with the efficiencies that were included in one of the documents that Ms. Whitehead sent to you. The issues that we have seen, as far as if we just look at it from the standpoint of budget savers that have come with the ability to reach people through through Zoom and through WebEx has been astonishing. Of course, it saved a lot of money as it relates to issues with probation officers and juvenile officers being able to maintain contact with their clients without having to go to the specific homes, because they can do so now via WebEx. The amount of money that has been saved and the safety issues that have been maintained in that we no longer are transporting inmates back and forth from the jail. The transportation folks are not in a position to have to be spending all the time that they have in dealing with the transporting of inmates. And that takes so much time to do that. And now with just a flick of the button, all of a sudden we're right there. Well, actually, as you could see, maybe it takes about 5 extra minutes for us to get it right. But once we get the process rolling, we're there. And the beauty of Zoom and WebEx is that we now are seeing and reaching people that we've never reached before. In the juvenile court in particular, and in many other areas of probate court, they are now reaching and contacting folks that they never would have thought for a second would have been able to be at the table to address such important things, the most important issues that we deal with, such as permanency planning for children that have been abused and neglected, for folks that are in many instances, now able to come to the table, and it's really been an astonishing thing to see. Our order protection process is something that really cannot be compared to any place in the state, much less in the country now. People can get orders of protection without ever having to walk into this building. They can get a petition filed and get an ex parte, a temporary order of protection from a judge, just online. They don't have to come to court for the actual full hearing because they can all do that through Zoom. And when you think about the ability of someone who's been horribly victimized, the fact that they now are aware of the fact that they never have to walk into the same, room as their abuser, that's incredibly significant, and it is really something to behold. And none of this, all of the incredible things that we have been able to do at this court have been due to the phenomenal IT department that we have. Right now, it almost feels like you're walking into an episode of The Jetsons when you walk into our lobby, in that people are met by a computer, a face that's on the computer screen that will tell them and provide them with all the information that they need to figure out where they should go with their case. We're now holding town hall meetings in ways that we never were able to do. We were able to reach people, the bar, we were able to reach, people in our community and explain to them what's going on in our court. And people are very grateful of the fact that they are getting much more information than they ever would have before the pandemic hit. Now, this process that we talk about, the fact that we're not closed, we are, as very much open, because we're having in-court sessions all the time, as I'd mentioned. But the problem is that process is not perfect. People with limited means do not have the ability to participate in the process in the way that they should. A phone call into a hearing where you can't even see what's going on is hardly what I call providing someone with due process. If someone doesn't have a smartphone or a laptop, they're not able to participate in the process in the way that they should. They can't just walk into our court because we're not having in-person sessions. But it gets also into other issues that have existed for a long time. If you live in certain areas in this county and you have limited means, it's very difficult to get here. It's very expensive to stay here when you have a hearing all day. And now, because of the abilities that we have with the remote process, we do see some opportunities that we believe can occur. And that gets into one of the unfunded priorities that we're talking about. We certainly did not anticipate at the time that the budget report was initially expected to be filed back in May, that we would be dealing with this problem. We certainly didn't anticipate that this pandemic would be as pervasive as it is. But that's the reason why at this time I'd like to discuss very briefly what we hope to do at Northwest Crossings. This is an emergency, and there's no question about it. Because people are not getting access to justice, there are a lot of jurisdictions in the state and throughout the country that are subject to lawsuits. Right now, Jackson County, the city of St. Louis have been, at this time, have been defendants in lawsuits brought by the Arch City Defenders and other, very well-intended groups that are basically saying people do not have access to the courts because they don't have the equipment to participate in the remote process. So we knew about that, and we've been looking for months at what opportunities we could provide, and we saw some underutilized space in the facility at Northwest Crossings. And what's great about the facility there is the infrastructure is there. There's very few structural changes that would need to occur in order for us to get started. Security is present. At any time, there's always at least 2 officers from the St. Louis County Police Department that are present manning the doors as people come into the building, ensuring that when you're in that building, it's a safe place to be. So seeing that facility, we then asked the county executive's office if we could start a pilot project. And we were looking at 2 spaces in that huge facility, specifically an area in which people could go to Zoom, to WebEx, to participate in the process. And what we envision is having a site that would have kiosks that would allow for people to safely reach out to particular court proceedings. And that's something that we started already on the ground level of this courthouse at our E-Court, where people can come into our building, even though they can't come into the courtroom, even though they can't be, physically present in a courtroom, they can participate in the process. Now, coming all the way into Clayton to participate in the process is fine. But what we saw with the specific location at Northwest Crossings is a place that would be easier for people to get to, and a place that was already established, a place that was easier to reach by bus, a place with ample parking where there's no cost. And then we talked about all the advantages to the security that came with the Northwest Crossing place. So there's one site for where some folks could go to participate in the Zooming and the WebExing process to get into a court while the proceedings are taking place. And then we also felt there's such a need for people to get orders of protection. As we said, we do have the ability to get orders of protection online. But if you don't have the ability to get online, you'd have to come all the way down to the county courthouse to get that order of protection. And, we don't need to talk about the problems of transportation in this area, but there's certain neighborhoods, there's certain areas that really have challenges to getting into the Clayton area. And it makes it even worse while we're in this pandemic, because the ability to even get on a bus safely these days and to have social distancing It's just not the same as it used to be. So what our hope is that we would also have a site that would be a satellite area from our order of protection office that would allow for people to come down to Northwest Crossings and get the relief they need by filling out the forms as if they came down here in person. And then those forms would be quickly reaching the duty judge that would be addressing those specific petitions. The other value to having another place is we also see such a need to have advocates. We have seen the incredible gifts that advocates can provide people that are in such a horribly emotional and dangerous time in their life. And to have advocates that could help individuals, first of all, fill out the somewhat cumbersome paperwork that is necessary to get that petition. And to tell folks that there are certain things they need to include in an order. It's not, helpful to just talk about what happened the night before, but to talk about the previous history, things that the average person might not really know, especially when they're coming in a very troubled time. The other aspect too is and the value to having an advocate locally nearby is to have that particular petitioner receiving the resources they need. To have that particular individual participate in safety planning, which is so necessary at a time like this. So that's it for me as far as unfunded priorities. I'd like to now have Judge Hemphill talk to you about the raise the age situation that we're all facing here.
So before we move on, you talked about the virtual processes that you've been using lately.
Yes.
I've also seen now with the partition up where the person doing the victim impact statement, they're behind, similar to the glass you have in the back of the room where you're in. They stood behind there and gave their victim impact. It wasn't like that, of course. And it was the mother and the daughter of the deceased. And had they not had that partition, the daughter would have attacked the person that was on trial if she could have gotten to him. So I think that's something else to consider in the future as well, because the partition is good again for social distancing, but also again for safety, as you mentioned. Because she was really trying to get to the person who had harmed her sister. And I understand why she was so upset, but that's another suggestion. Also, you mentioned the kiosk.
Yes.
That you wanted to put at Northwest Crossings.
Yes.
For people to be able to participate in the trial or the process.
Yes.
A kiosk is fairly, in my estimation, small. So are those for just ordinance violations?
No, and I didn't really explain enough about what our kiosks really are. We're calling them kiosks. They look like moving nurses' stations that the nurses bring into each hospital room with all the vital statistics being taken at the time. And these are, and I'm not the tech savvy guy in the courthouse, but I will say these are the places where the computers are, where one would then be able to then plug into a court hearing. So they would be able to sit there during their proceeding and zoom into the particular proceeding. One of the challenges that we have, and it's been working quite well here at the courthouse, is making sure that once someone is zooming into the court proceeding, that we tell the judge that that person is here in our e-court, so that way those cases could be prioritized. Because we anticipate there's going to be a lot of people waiting to get, into those Zoom stations. But these are full, it's essentially a movable desk that would include everything you need as far as the computer is concerned to get into the court hearings.
Okay. I'll try to talk with you both more later to get more information.
That'd be great.
So before we move on to Judge Hilfel, because you said she's gonna talk about the raise the age legislation. I think
Correct.
Before we get to her committee, don't you think we should go into the budget instead?
Well, how long do you think Judge Hemphill will be? Because I think they should refer to the numbers as we move forward into how that's going to impact their budget. Looking at
Right.
that, and so if that's what your question is, yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood the question, Councilwoman Gray, but I would concur with what Councilwoman Days just said, if that's indeed what you're
Yes,
asking.
I saw the letter about raise the age legislation, and I think it's something worth us exploring. But I want us to kind of get into the budget first. Judge, will her
Well, Madam Chair, I do know that the raise the edge is going to affect the budget depending on what we're able to or not able to get from the state level. That was legislation passed. It was, again, an unfunded mandate. And so I think the department is probably going to discuss how will they handle that if they don't get money from the state. So in view of all of that, maybe we can figure out how they're going to adjust the budget to handle raise the age situation. And that might be more of a budget, I guess, question for the budget chair or even Judge Hemphill, either one that can probably address that given the numbers that we have here in front of us.
Right, and that's what I was checking with Judge Burton. Does he think we should talk to her first?
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
hear from her first.
If
And then- because the budget is more than just that one item. But
Oh, correct.
so that's why I was thinking we could, but we'll just go ahead and hear from Judge Hemphill.
Madam Chair, thank you. My remarks actually are pretty brief. As you all know, and this matter has been brought to the council's attention previously with the raise the age, but back in 2018, that legislation became law and it becomes effective on January the 1st of 2021. Contained in Senate Bill 793 was the creation of a juvenile justice preservation fund, which is funded through the collection of certain court costs for the provision of services to 17-year-olds. However, the bill does not contain a formula for the distribution of fund money to each of the 46 judicial circuits in the state. And under the statute, which is part of Senate Bill 793, expanding services from 17 years of age to 18 years of age is a new service. However, it shall not be effective until an appropriation sufficient to fund the expanded services is provided therefore. Well, as we know, the state did not allocate a specific appropriation for the implementation of Raise the Age. The court has been informed by St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Wesley Bell that he does not intend to prosecute 17-year-olds. And this is an issue that is over the state is divided. Some circuits are and some prosecutors are not going to do it, as is Mr. Bell. We estimate that the impact on the family court includes approximately 1,200 additional referrals to the juvenile court. And this is based on our extrapolation of data that covers 16-year-olds for the last 3 calendar years, We believe that the average daily population will increase by 8 to 10 youth, and that our court filings will increase approximately 33%. And we are just anticipating that at the point in time when we really have to deal with this situation, that our financial needs are going to be approximately $615,000, which would include 5 additional deputy detention juvenile officers at a cost of $285,590. $98,918 for an additional attorney, additional clerical staff in the amount of $55,245, additional substance abuse mental health counselors in the detention center in the amount of $82,949, and finally, additional detention costs associated with housing those additional 8 to 10 youth per day annually would be $92,981. So again, we're just bringing this to your radar. The options right now is we don't have any direction from any courts as to what's going to happen if the prosecuting attorney in your area says they're not going to prosecute. What are we going to do with these youth? But as a family court, we want to be prepared. If we are going to accept these juveniles, we need to be prepared financially to support that endeavor. And we thank you for your time and attention.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hemphill. I want to point out that some of the further context of what Ms. Hemphill just went over with us pertaining to Raise the Age was information provided in a letter to the council by Judge Burton, and that letter was sent on October 9th. And I would like to request that that letter get entered into the record of this hearing. And I can send it to our clerk. She does not have a copy of it.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Judge Hemphill.
Yes, let's follow up with that. Diane, can you please add that letter to the record?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, I will.
Yes, Councilman Fitch.
Thank you, ma'am. Judge, it seems like it would make sense to move the costs that used to be used to prosecute 17-year-olds over to the family court from Wesley Bell's office and the associated costs that he will no longer need to prosecute those people. Do you see it that way? Wouldn't his workload go down?
Well, we do have some statistics from his office. We've not had that specific discussion with respect to transferring any of those funds over to us, but we would certainly be willing to explore that.
I just think that if he has less workload, he has, how many did you estimate? Was it 1,200 a year?
1,200 additional referrals.
So those would be hypothetically 1,200 less cases that he would have to deal with. Is that right?
Potentially.
Okay. So that's something we'll probably have to take up with Mr. Bell when he comes to us to see if he's included those reductions in his budget. I would assume there'd also be some justice services reductions as well. Is that right?
Because those youth would then be housed in the detention center, that would definitely have an impact there as well.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
So my question is, I'm assuming you're referring to 17-year-olds being tried as adults.
Well, the age is now being raised to 18. So instead of them going into the prosecuting attorney's office, those 18-year-olds would be coming to the detention center.
17.
Right, 17-year-olds.
The 17-year-olds, yes.
Currently, if you're 17, you're not automatically tried as an adult, are you?
No, there's a process called certification. Right. And so if you are certified at 17 now, then you would be transferred over to the adult jurisdiction.
So it's quite possible that the prosecutor is not certifying 17-year-olds since he doesn't want to do it based on this law.
Well, the certifications are currently done in the juvenile court. So the juvenile court makes the determination of
Okay.
whether to certify that 17-year-old currently.
Okay.
16, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. 16-year-old, sorry.
Okay. That's what I was wondering because I was thinking he probably, okay. Any questions? 'Cause I
Madam
wonder-
Chair?
Yes, Madam Chair. Oh,
Yes, Senator, oh Lord, Councilwoman Days.
Thank you. When we're looking at, and this is for Judge Hemphill, when we're looking at that, that's not automatically assuming that everyone who is of that age would be certified. So I want to be careful that we are just not going to take, all of that prospective money that would be utilized in that area and transfer that from the prosecuting attorney, because there could still be some certifications needed in his area. Is that correct, or am I kind of confusing that?
I think that would be an accurate statement.
Okay, so even though his workload may be reduced, it will not totally be undone because of this raise the edge.
It would not be totally eliminated because you would still have the ability to do certifications.
I thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Judge.
Madam Chair, I have a follow-up to Councilman Days.
Yes, sir.
Judge, out of the 1,200 or so cases typically in a year, how many of those cases would be normally certified? Can you give us a percentage? Is it 5%? It's pretty low, right?
I really don't have those statistics before me to give you a direct answer to that question. We can certainly get that information for you, however.
I'm just thinking, my experience with certifications have been, those are usually like homicides, or multiple armed robberies, those type of things. Is that fair?
Well, there are certain felonies that are mandatory to have a certification hearing on. And then, of course, it is up to the judicial officer presiding over that case to determine whether under those facts and circumstances that juvenile should be transferred to the adult jurisdiction.
Right. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it's more than 5% of that number, if it's any higher than that.
I can certainly look at that and get that information to you.
Thank you.
I can indicate that Mr. Burkemper has indicated that he has a few statistics as it relates to certification.
So, Councilman Fitch, to answer your question.
One moment. Any information that you seeing, can you send it to the entire committee or to me, and I'll send it to everyone?
Sure. And am I free to just make one statement?
Sure. I wanted to make sure that Judge Hemphill knew that we all wanted that information, not just.
Oh, yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I can tell you that since 2017, the number of certifications in juvenile court has been in single digits. So I think there was one in 2019. I think there's been 6 so far this year. And I don't know that, but I know it was in double digits in teens before 2017.
Yeah, it's even lower than I thought. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that information.
Sure.
And that's kind of what I was alluding to. Any other questions from the committee?
yes, Councilwoman Gray. Judge Hemphill, I wanted to apologize. I think I may have not given you your proper title of judge before, and I did not mean it in disrespect. So,
that's okay. It's no problem.
But I did want to say, you gave us some specific numbers related to raise the age that I don't think were in Judge Burton's letter. If you could send those to the committee, I would appreciate that. I think that would be important information for us to have.
I will absolutely do that.
The other point that I wanted to make, which is just more broad about your budget, it looks like from the information that I have from the budget book, you all are basically getting what you're requesting with the addition of, or the recommendation from the county executive's office is that you get what you're requesting with the addition of some money, which I think is about some wage increases. Is that correct?
I believe so, but I would let the PJ answer that question.
Okay.
That would be correct, yes.
Okay. And you have decided to hold off then, from what I understand, from formally requesting money to implement raise the age.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And it sounds like that's partially because there's still some unknowns.
There's a lot of uncertainty
Okay.
as to what the next steps would be as far as the state legislators as well as the
Okay.
prosecuting attorneys.
Okay. So I guess, I mean, do you know at what point you would need to know when you would, what could possibly trigger you coming back to the council next year in 2021 when this goes into effect and ask for that money?
Our concern is that if there's not certainty as to whether there's going to be funding from the state, that as of January 1st, when we're in a position to determine whether or not a 17-year-old should be taken into custody at our juvenile facility, that would probably be the triggering, the time a lawsuit we envision would take place almost immediately.
Got it. On a slightly different topic, housing and evictions and expected, an expected onslaught of caseloads related to that. Do you have the resources that you all need to process what could be coming related to those topics?
Well, our biggest challenge is more the timing. We do envision that when we are at a point when evictions will occur, that it's very possible that we would need some assistance from senior judges in the way that we're also getting some assistance at this time that's funded by our circuit court budget committee from the judiciary. We do envision that there will be an incredibly huge amount of cases that we will have to address. I believe we are ready for that. It just will involve some, very heavy dockets for a short period of time.
Is there any fiscal impact of those heavy dockets?
Well, at this time, we haven't looked at that specific issue. I think that what we are envisioning and what we are concerned about is more the fiscal impact on the community. I don't envision that the courts themselves are in a position to be unready to handle this onslaught. It will just involve, a lot of, just more extensive dockets that I do believe we'll be able to handle.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is the end of my questions for now, Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Councilwoman Clancy. I keep forgetting that you're on the committee. I'm sorry. You're the chair. Anyone else? Any other council members that would like to ask any questions? Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a question for the county councilor.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cronin, I would like to know from your office whether or not there are any restrictions or inhibitions on the council with respect to cutting the budget with respect to the judicial branch. If you can't answer today, please research the question and supply us with that information.
We will do that, council member. We will definitely prepare that and research and provide you with that.
Okay, and so you understand, I'm reasonably confident that there is certain inhibitions. I want to know specifically what they are.
Understood.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions?
Madam Chair, just one last one.
Go ahead.
I think Judge Burton, I heard you say, and my signal was going in and out. Did I hear something about expansion of services to Northwest Crossings, the shopping center in St. Anne?
Correct. That's our goal, that we would be able to be present at Northwest Crossing.
Yeah, will there be additional costs associated with that? And if so, is that in your budget somewhere, or is that just like a future idea?
Well, what we envision given what we're seeing, is that many of the costs to get things set up for purposes of, just the hardware, the issues of getting the proper wiring, we're confident that those are going to be covered by the CARES Act. The real issue that we envision that would be additional costs would be the cost of 2 bailiffs that would be necessary to be present in both of the settings. So one in the order protection area and one in the area where there would be Zooming.
So no additional space needs.
No, I mean, right now, and we're looking at this as a pilot project, Mr. Fitch, with the understanding that, if in fact it proves to be successful, we're hoping the community looks at it and sees that as a model for maybe further expansion. But for purposes of, what we're looking at Northwest Crossings, we believe that some of the unutilized space that's there is more than sufficient for what we need.
And you're talking about unutilized by St. Louis County. We're already paying for it, but not using it. Is that what you mean?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Yes, you mentioned the bailiffs. I was concerned about people coming to Northwest Crossings using the kiosk and maybe getting upset, belligerent, or whatever. So you will have someone kind of standing near the kiosk.
That's our goal. And that, one of the things that we've already seen happen, surprisingly, is that we've had 2 people on opposite ends of an order of protection hearing that were sitting right next to each other. And without a bailiff that we had right there to figure that out, it became very concerning. So we absolutely need to have, someone present there in the, in the site where the Zooming would take place. But we also see a need to have a bailiff present near the orders of protection area as well. Primarily due to the fact that we have a lot of angry people that come into the building that are sometimes there because they don't like the fact that an order of protection has already been issued against them.
So you've already included those bailiffs in your budget, or you're not? Or is this something, since it's in the future, you haven't budgeted for?
That's the one request that was included in the additional requests.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Please mute your phone if you're not speaking, or mute your computer. Anyone else? Any other council members with any questions? Okay. Okay. Judge, if you could mute your phone, computer. Is there anyone who would have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second. I assume no public comments.
No, I got it. She texted me and told me. I'm sorry.
A second.
There were no public comments, Madam Chair?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
She text me and inform me of that.
All right.
Although I probably would have forgotten anyway. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh,
motion to adjourn.
Yes, except for I know that in the past we can make changes to the budget or have our amendments. Since we're have a different process this year, this is not just for this budget. Do we send those to Lisa, or who gets to change it, our amendments? Or do we just send it to the attorney? Chris? Oh, go ahead.
You're muted.
I'm sorry. Are you addressing that to anyone in particular, Councilwoman Gray?
Probably Chris Howard or Kyle, or yourself. It doesn't matter.
Chris, would you like to address that, please?
Yes, ma'am. So traditionally, the council has a couple of options. In the past, the council has asked the budget bills be sent down from the county councilor's office. Last year, they didn't send them down, or I'm sorry. The county councilor usually sends them down from the county executive to the council. Last year, the county council requested the budget bills. Given that precedent, the council has a couple of options. You can request the budget bills as presented by the county executive, and then you can amend, or you can decide how you want to amend them and then get with the county councilor and then have those bills drafted. Those can be done. Each individual council member can propose their own amendments for the sake of the sanity of the council. It might be helpful to have maybe a committee of the whole to discuss what amendments maybe you want to make, and then you come to some agreement so you have one set where you have the agreement there. But because of the court cases a couple of years ago, the council has great flexibility in how it proceeds up to where you're asking the county councilor to draft the bills.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I won't prolong any further. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Madam Chair, I don't know if you called for a vote to adjourn the meeting. I can't remember.
Oh, I did not.
I think there's still a quorum of the members here.
Yes.
Can you still hear us?
Yes.
You can still.
Aye.
Mike, why don't we go off?
Oh, wait. They have.
Well,
Diane,
said aye.
I think Diane is froze.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. There's the three of you here.
No, I'm
Thank
saying, do we have to roll call or we can just?
No,
No.
it's just a voice vote.
Just
Okay.
a voice vote.
Well, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.